Well, what do we have here today? We have none other than the brand new 2020 Trek/8. So a bit of an enduro bike, for sure, and a bit is an understatement to say the least. This is Trek's 29er long travel rig. So what are our official figures on this? We have Trek's Alpha Platinum Aluminium as your frame, full alloy, no carbon found on this bike. You have 160mm of travel out front, thanks to the RockShox Yari RC with your 44mm offset. You've got a RockShox Deluxe RT3 out the back, which is powering 150mm swing arm. Continuing the RockShox / SRAM Affinity, you have the Guide R brakes, front and rear, powering a 200mm rotor out front and a 180mm rotor out the rear. And then of course SRAM's GX Eagle is your drivetrain. 32 tooth out front, 10 to 50 teeth out back. So Bontrager's XR5 team issue out front, 29 by 2.6 inch, and then the XR4 team issue out back, 29 by 2.6 inch. And then of course you've got your Bontrager Line 30 comps as your rims, Truvient cranks, an MRP chain guide, and then your usual smattering of Bontrager products to complete the bike. I think I just broke a tree in half. Oh my word. Because the next section I want to try for is the bathtub track. So this one uses a few more downhill switchbacks. It's easy to ride but hard to master, I find. Let's see how we go on the bathtub track, because I immediately pedal strike. Feels nice to lean over. Good to accelerate once you smash the pedal a bit. Nice lean over, stable quartering. Barely unsettled by that. Good. So first 5 kilometers impressions, really good. Descending is definitely this thing's prowess. Unbelievable on all kinds of descents, whether you're bombing, going over rock gardens, or just doing your downhill switchbacks and berms. It doesn't feel too slack, unlike the Rain 2, which I tested up at Bright. This feels like it tracks a lot better through uphill and downhill switchbacks. And while the Crimson and Cobra Red might not be everyone's cup of tea, they do have it in a gunmetal grey and black paint scheme. So just as we're pedaling along here, more thoughts. Thank you for having the SRAM GX Eagle on this. I always love the GX Eagle, while the X01 and the XX1 are premium and shift beautifully. If I'm going to invest in an Eagle that I'm going to replace if I bin it on a downhill or just with general wear and tear, the GX Eagle is sublime. I really can't fault the Eagle range. But if I was personally building my own trail or enduro bike, I'd definitely be considering the GX Eagle. So I'm really happy that it's been represented on here. The guide brakes, another really good choice. Could the Code RS brakes be of benefit to this bike? Possibly, if you really are heavy on the brakes and want a bit more modulation for your downhill. But being represented on the /8, which is the best value for money for the performance, I think they do quite well. Even though it's got the wide handlebars, it's nimble enough to sort of weave through the trees, which I like. There we go. If you're the lover of all things descending, you just want to chuck it into corners, you just want to throw it off a rock face and survive, then the /8 actually does really, really well. Astoundingly well. So for my first ride impressions of the /8, really solid bike. Major ticks across the board for how the RockShox RT3 Deluxe has been tuned with the reactive. This rear suspension linkage is as great as it's ever been. And good work on choosing the Yari RC as the fork. Again, really good front fork to pair up with the geometry. It does everything you need it to. I really quite like the tyres and the rims. I think it's a really good combination for what they're going for with this top-end aluminium model. I didn't feel like the wheels were loose and spaghettios. They felt nice and planted and went where I pointed to go. So massive credit goes to that. Yeah, so cannot go wrong with the SRAM GX Eagle and the Guide R's as your intermediate level brakes for both trail and enduro riding. Really impressive package. So again, really happy with the SRAM package all around. I don't really feel like there's any negatives to say about this, because if you're buying an aluminium frame, you're expecting so much out of a bike, you're expecting so much performance, and I feel that the components that are being matched to this do the bikes justice. I don't think it's being sold short. If anything, it's really good value for money for $5 grand Australian, mind you. $5 grand Australian, you're getting a lot for a lot of bike. Overall, I'd say that the Slash is stable but playful is what I kept thinking during this initial test ride. If you point it at a corner, it's playful enough to whip around the corner and to get it done so very, very excitingly. But at the same time, the suspension didn't bog down, it didn't nosedive, and the tires just roll onto the side so well. So it's quite stable. It's playful when you point it downhill and you hit some rock gardens and you just thump over them like a madman. But then it's stable where the active braking pivot is making sure that your tyres constantly engage to the ground and you're not skittering about. The reactive tuning does a lot to make sure that the shock isn't dancing about unnecessarily. It's keeping you locked onto the ground for when you need. Well, what are we up to now? Well, we're at Harcourt to actually test this thing on some gravity trails. And what better way to sort of just get warmed up on this nice little flow run coming down track 1. Went on a night ride with it last night on some fairly flat, non-technical single track, and it was holding its own against some hardtail and a specialised stump jumper. So really quite happy with how it even performed just on your flat stuff. So heading on to track 8 called Aamateur. There are mutterings that there are some very technical climbs. Sweet mother of God. I know this bike can hold up to it. I wonder if there's an open rock face going down. Is that the way I'm meant to go? Alright, so weight back. That looks like. Oh, my back tire just hit my ass. Okay. Again, I'm riding this trail blind, so don't think that this is going to be an exhaustive run of what you should be doing. Oh wow, that left. Oh my God, that left. Alright, let's get into it. Track 3. Turn-in response is great. Still feels nimble and stable as the spring gully run. But now we've got some proper speed in. Oh yes, please. Whoa. Okay, lost the front end. Whoops. Yep. I did intend to go straight up that line. So I find the /8 to be phenomenal, and that isn't a word I throw around often during these reviews. One, because it's incredibly hard to save when you've got a mouthful of spit after a really hard ride, and two, you kind of need to fit a few criteria for me to use the P word. For one thing, you need to get your parts spec right based on your price point. No use overcharging for parts that you can easily get on more affordable bikes. Those parts then have to work within the necessary criteria. So all the parts on the bike must fulfill an enduro bike or a cross-country bike roll and not compromise the performance. And overall, the bike just needs to be well put together and well thought of. The Slash 8 is phenomenal in that sense, much like the rest of the 8 models, where you're having the highest performance aluminium bike in the Trek range. All the parts here work well in harmony. The 29er wheels, the XR5 out front and the XR4 out back, provide plenty of grip thanks to the spec of the Line Comp 30s. The suspension and the frame work beautifully together. As I said during the Spring Gully test review, pretty much this bike feels incredibly stable yet nimble. Everything about it, whether it's climbing or descending, cornering, braking, accelerating, you get the sense that it's nimble and eager to change direction at your whim, but at the same time it's incredibly stable. I think I could have been in a lot more trouble today if this bike hadn't actually recorrected itself, and I often don't trust bikes enough to do that, but the Slash 8 is that stable that it sort of saved me a few times and just popped me on the upright and said, here you go buddy, try again. It doesn't feel like it has an excessive amount of travel that's unused. Everything ramps up the way it should. The active braking pivot means that your rear end's in control, and it can take a hit, as I found out going down run 2. It wanted to get airborne, it wanted to take me to the moon, and I just wasn't in the right headspace.